Mr. Aho, we call the roll, please.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Mr. Slura?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Turl-Waldron?
Here.
Thank you. And now I'll ask you to all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. For those just arriving, a bit of housekeeping. We can't have anybody in the aisles due to fire regulations. So if there are some empty seats, we apologize. We do have a packed house tonight. I see one down front. I'm not sure if they all got packed in the middle, but we can't have anybody in the aisle, so I do apologize. Good evening again, and welcome to the students, staff, and families from Samuel Bissell Elementary, George G. Dodge, and R.B. Chamberlain Middle Schools. This is the meeting of the Board of Education for May 4th, 2016. I am Rob Felber, and I'm honored to be your president. The NCAA made it through their March Madness. That's nothing compared to Twinsburg schools and what we call May Madness. There seems to be 3 events every single night. So as we approach the finish line, I want to thank our teachers, our staff, administration, and especially our students and parents. What a year we have experienced. And for those just at the starting line, this is a reminder that registration is now open for next year, and the website has more information. And speaking of running hard, I want to send out congratulations to Mark Bindus and the district's Wellness Committee on another successful Tiger Fit Fun Run. 241 participants gathered for fun and fitness. Participants donated over, 1,681 pounds of canned fruit to the Emergency Assistance Center. So as we continue the business of the district, know that your board and administration do not take the summer off. We continue to focus on our fiduciary responsibility, especially the permanent elimination of the tangible personal property tax, or otherwise known as TPP. The permanent elimination of TPP will account for over $6 million in revenue lost to our district. Tonight we have on the agenda an item from our Buildings and Grounds Committee. And while I normally steal their thunder, I won't do that tonight. Suffice to say that they have a very interesting proposal up for discussion. So to be brief, and I'm going to move on, now on to the business of our district. And without further delay, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our superintendent, Mrs. Powers.
Good evening, Mr. Felber, Board of Education. Good evening, families. It is exciting to be nearing the end of the school year because, as Mr. Felber said, every night there's at least 3 things going on. I know Mr. Curtis would have another thing going on tonight. We have a very important event at CVCC. It's our senior awards there, too. So on behalf of our administration, we congratulate all of our seniors who attend CVCC who are being awarded and recognized this evening. We wish we could be there, but we have important business this evening to take care of, and we'll catch up with those students at commencement on May 24th, no doubt. So many things going on, and as Mr. Felber indicated, around here we call this May Madness because there are so many things happening. And parents, I just remind you that if you take a look at our website, we try to keep up with the many different events going on, especially in regards to our athletic programs. The weather hasn't been very kind to spring sports this year, and so Mr. Fantone has been very busy canceling and rescheduling, and transportation has been doing the same. So please pay attention to our district website with our calendar. You can find the very latest information right there, all of our schedules, all of our scheduled events, rescheduled events, and then sometimes rescheduled again. So please pay attention to that information. This week is Staff Appreciation Week throughout our school district, and I just wanted to thank our PTAs. Talk about being treated like queens and kings. We have had just a fabulous week. It's only Wednesday. Can't hardly wait to see what happens tomorrow. But our PTAs have gone out of their way to just say thank you to our staff. And I have to tell you, I was at all the buildings today, in and out, and I have heard nothing but the highest praise to all of the moms and dads, our PTAs, and the kids who have just gone out of their way to be so appreciative of our staff, our teachers, our classified staff, and the administrators. So thank you very much for saying thank you and making them feel so much appreciated. They're here for your children, and it's just nice just to have a pat on the back to say great job. So thank you very much. Mr. Bendis, as Mr. Felber said, had a wonderful Tiger Fit Fun Run, and again, in partnership with the Emergency Assistance Center, we're so happy that our kids came out and had a huge canned fruit donation. I understand over at Bissell, Mrs. Johnson and her Tigers took the lead and are the winners, and I understand Bissell is going to have a popsicle party to celebrate the great win, and we thank our friends at Heinen's here in town for donating the popsicles for this. It's just always so great to have community support when we're trying to motivate our kids, and of course the Emergency Assistance Center really benefit from this particular drive. As Mr. Felber indicated, we're at the very beginning of starting to register our kids for school for the 16-17 school year. And at this point, we're very much interested in making sure that our incoming kindergarten children are registered. We had kindergarten registration about a month or so ago, and the school district is gearing up now for the next big registration day for kindergarten. So if you have a little one who will turn 5 years of age before August 1st, the next big kindergarten registration is actually Thursday, July 28th. So if you go on our district website and click on For Parents and scroll down to registration information, and you have a little one that will be joining us next year, please go on in and put in your information, and that's how you'll schedule your appointment for July 28th. I know it sounds so far away, but the beginning of the school year just seemed like yesterday, and the older you get, parents, I know you believe this too, the years just go by so fast. So please, if you have an incoming kindergartner, please go on there, register your child, and select your appointment time so that can be clicked in for you. Also, Board of Education, I would be remiss if I did not congratulate publicly this evening Mrs. Patty Coslow. Patty, why don't you stand up and be recognized? Mrs. Coslow is the force behind all of our public relations in our school district. She's not a district employee. We contract for her for services. But I understand that she has just been awarded by the Ohio School Public Relations Association the Crystal Award for her efforts in school district public relations. And to have an Ohio recognized person working for our school district it's huge. And Patty, Patty really drives it, and she drives me hard to make sure I hit deadlines, that I edit things, that we look really good. And our website and our newsletters and our cable show and our video is all driven by Patty's efforts. So thank you so very much. This is a well-deserved recognition, and to say the state of Ohio is recognizing you, that's just a feather in your cap, and it's a feather in our cap, too. So thank you very much, Patty. Speaking of Patty's work, Board of Education, as you know, tomorrow is a huge event for the school district. Tomorrow I will be making the State of the Schools address at the Twinsburg Chamber of Commerce luncheon. Patty's been helping with that, too. We have a wonderful presentation for the Chamber, and if you're not able to attend the Chamber meeting, it will actually be on our Cable 9 show in the month of June. And so we'll be talking about all of the successes this year here in our school district, highlighting some awesome students, some great staff members, and we look forward to the presentation tomorrow. And again, it will be our June Cable 9 show, so stay tuned for that. So enough of me. We have a lot of great kids to celebrate tonight, so I want to invite up Ms. Johnson from Samuel Bissell Elementary School, who has a lot of wonderful students to present. Welcome, Mrs. Johnson.
Check. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Powers, and our entire communities that are here. We are so excited to celebrate the number of students that we will be celebrating this evening. As you heard Mrs. Powers say, the year just goes so fast, but our students are still doing a wonderful job to the very end, and we're so proud of them. And so you'll see a lot of students come up today in celebration of their recognition. And on Friday, we'll be celebrating with pizza and chips and all that good stuff. So we'll have a good time to continue this celebration. So we're very excited about the work that our students are doing at Samuel Bissell. So just to give you a little bit of background on how students are selected for Students of the Month. The Students of the Month program at Samuel Bissell Elementary School recognizes outstanding student achievement at the 2nd and 3rd grade levels. The focus of this recognition program is on citizenship, academics, social, civic, volunteer, and other accomplishments to set the student apart from their peers. At this time, we will proudly recognize our second grade students. Second graders, since we have so many, when you come up, you'll receive your award. You will shake hands with our board member and then our superintendent, and then you're going to walk down here and stand proudly with your certificate, okay? And stay up here to the end. So we're going to start with Jaden Cruz. Jaden, can you come forward, please? Jaden is from Mrs. Doyle's class. Mrs. Doyle, if you can come up if you're in the audience. I think I saw her. I did. Yay. Micah Cruz from Mrs. Ziska's class. Micah, can you come forward? Benjamin Elliott from Miss Jolly's class. Baron Grant from Mrs. Schmidt's class. Mrs. Schmidt, if you're yes. Maria Arapola from Miss Jolly's class. Maria, are you here? Deacon Nelson from Mr. Robles' class. Ava Steffel from Mrs. Robles' class. And Addison Timms from Mrs. Springer's class. All right, can we give a round of applause for our second graders? And parents will give you a few minutes to take their pictures if you like. Congratulations, second graders. Nice smiles. Say cheese pizza. All right, very nice job, second graders. Congratulations. And our third graders, Rhea Bellini from Mr. Lavis's class. I'm sorry, Mr. Lavis. Megan Bazub from Mrs. Ronaldo's class. Abigail Bobick from Mrs. Petey's class and Mrs. Dorgan's class. Lucas Elias from Mrs. Engler's class. Mrs. Engler, if you're here, Mrs. Engler. Clara Hudson from Miss Valinsky's class. Andrew Condrat from Mr. D's class. Mr. D, can you come up to the front? Mr. Lowry? Carmela Rivera from Mrs. Depew's class. Mrs. Depew. Elijah Robinson from Mrs. Ronaldo's class. Evan Schneeman from Mrs. Ronaldo's class. Gracie Scalero from Mr. D's class. Andrew Searles from Mrs. Ronaldo's class. Lucas Tinter from Mrs. Carterman's class. And Michelle Williams from Mrs. Ronaldo's class. Can we give our third graders a round of applause? Smile for the camera. One last round of applause for all of our students. Great job, third graders. It's always so wonderful to celebrate all the great things that our students are doing each and every day. They are doing just a wonderful job from the start of the year to the end of the year, and we're so very proud of the hard work that they put in each and every day, and all the wonderful things they do to make our school a great place. So thank you, parents, for what you do in helping our students, as well as partnering with our teachers and making it just a wonderful place at Samuel Bissell. So we thank you very much for your support. We have two staff members I would like to recognize this evening. I'm going to start with Mrs. Magyar. Mrs. Magyar, can you come to the front, please? We have wonderful students at our school, as well as wonderful staff, and so it's just a very nice opportunity to honor our staff as well as our students. The hard work that they put in every day, I can't thank them enough for what they do as well. But I have to share with you what Mrs. Magyar's colleagues think of her, because when you hear this, this will tell the story of Mrs. Magyar. So it says, it's an honor to nominate Mrs. Magyar for Staff of the Month. She's an extraordinary teacher. She does so much for Bissell and its students. She never hesitates to help others. She serves on various committees, and she's always willing to assist other teachers. One of my parents, this is written by a teacher, one of my parents asked her for help to further her education, and Mrs. Magyar did not think twice about assisting her. She even used her personal time to create reading retelling hands for every teacher in second grade. This in and of itself must have taken hours. And the person says, amazing. Mrs. Magyar has motivated my students to have a true love for reading and learning. She creates lessons that are hands-on, fun, and exciting. Whenever she comes to my door, my students fight over who gets to go with her and have the pleasure of working with her. My students absolutely loved her stone soup, and you were able to see that several months ago. She presented here about the stone soup unit. But they absolutely loved the stone soup unit so much that they continue to talk about it months later. She also taught them about contractions by transforming them into surgeons and even giving them doctor names. I tweeted about that. It was an awesome lesson. She is such an inspiration. It is such a pleasure and an honor to work with a dedicated and gifted educator. There are no words to express my gratitude for all of her assistance with my students this year. Mrs. Magyar truly deserves to be recognized and acknowledged for all that she does. Bissell is truly fortunate to have her. That was written by Ms. Jolly. Congratulations. Can Mrs. Andrews come forward, please? Mrs. Andrews. Once again, I would like to paint a picture of what Mrs. Andrews does every single day at Samuel Bissell, again, written by her colleagues. Mrs. Andrews is a caring, hard-working instructional assistant relied on by many classroom teachers and specialists. Mrs. Andrews is a confident school professional who feels comfortable contributing her resources and ideas to any activity she's involved with. Her caring, firm but friendly demeanor is an asset in both the small and large group setting. The students adore her and respond to her kindness and her great sense of humor. She is a definite asset to the phonics camp teaching team. This is another colleague. I would like to nominate Mrs. Andrews for Staff of the Month. She works closely with both second and third grade teachers and with students. She has developed a personal relationship with students and is knowledgeable about each student's individual's needs. Mrs. Andrews goes above and beyond her job duties to provide engaging and purposeful learning opportunities. Mrs. Andrews has high expectations for students, and she encourages them to strive for their best. She's always flexible and offers additional support whenever possible. She has become an integral part of second grade phonics camp to guide lessons, monitor student progress, and assist students to make good behavior choices. Mrs. Andrews always has a positive outlook, and she's a great team player. My students and I look forward to working with her on a daily basis, and this person says thanks for all you do. So thank you, Mrs. Andrews, and congratulations. So as you can see, it takes a village, a whole entire school family to do what we do at Samuel Bissell. And I'm so very proud of all of our students and all of our staff who put in a hard day's work every single day. So thank you once again, parents, and thank you to all of our students and staff for all that you do.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Boy, there are so many great things going on at Bissell, and I was there earlier today, like I said, and just the enthusiasm at our building of our second and third graders is certainly contagious. So thank you, Mrs. Johnson, for your leadership. It all happens, it all starts somewhere, and in this case, at Samuel Bissell Elementary School, it's Mrs. Missy Johnson, so congratulations, Mrs. Johnson, too. Board of Education, we have a little detour this evening because usually George G. Dodge isn't here at this particular meeting for student recognition, but Mr. Holland called me and said, you know, he has this group of students that aren't even Dodge students that he has a special recognition for tonight. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to invite him and Mrs. Mariola forward for some special student recognition, a little bit unusual, but important nonetheless.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers. Just as we begin, I want to just say it's always hard following a great group of students and a great group of teachers, and we are so excited to see all those great third graders here. So parents, if you're still here with your third graders, we would love that opportunity to meet them individually, Mrs. Mariola and I, as we transition them to Dodge, because we're so excited to have them. But as Mrs. Powers stated, we're here doing something a little bit different. We're here to honor a group of students that have supported us as we support Dodge students. We have a program at Dodge called Extra Scoop. And the Extra Scoop program is designed to help kids who are some struggling readers and some other different things, and we have teachers working with them. But a new nuance, that we have for this group is that we have a group of high school students that have been volunteering with us each week to help support our students in their academics, in the social, and even some fun game time with them just to help them transition and get ready for their next level. So tonight we want to honor THS high school students as they support us with our Extra Scoop program.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Tonight we have some special high school students with us here tonight, and I want to thank them individually. First and foremost, Miss Rebecca Levine.
Check. Check, check, check.
Next, Miss Summer Albert. Mr. Parker Kelly. Miss Izzy Bongiovanni. Miss Anna Widmer. Miss Julianne Schaefer. And Ms. Erin Ahern couldn't be with us tonight, but I wanted to publicly recognize her as well. If we could give one more round of applause for our high school students. And I'd just like to thank them all for their leadership throughout this program. Thank you. And finally, we'd like to ask Mr. Reese to come forward to celebrate some outstanding middle school Tigers. Welcome, Mr. Reese.
Good evening, everyone. And first, we want to recognize our students of the month. They meet the following 6 criteria. They show respect and consideration for others. They show enthusiasm for academics and extracurriculars. They exert a positive influence on classmates. They exhibit leadership characteristics, exhibit patriotism and democratic principles, and they show responsibility. And we'll start with our 7th graders. And our first recipient is Morgan Poland. Next, we have Rander Multani. Mia Blackburn. Nathan Glessman. And our 8th graders, Shreya Mishra. Aiden Smith. Elizabeth Larson. And Kellen Sparks. And we'll give a moment for everyone to get a picture of our Students of the Month. All right, thank you, guys. And we've been very busy and are going to be very busy at Chamberlain. Today was a fun day because, of course, a lot of middle schoolers are Star Wars fans, and today's May the 4th. So all day people have been coming up to me and saying, hey, Mr. East, May the 4th be with you. So that was the joke of the day at Chamberlain. And if you're a middle-level educator, you just have to enjoy those kind of things. April, we do a lot of testing. We have our OST test. And we also do our MAP test. And, of course, our OST test, we're looking forward to those results here in a couple months. But our teachers and our students were so excited. MAP testing, they take the MAP test in the fall and then again in the spring. And in the fall, the test, we really use a lot of data from it to see where our students need help and where they stand. And the MAP test sets a growth target for them. And if 70% of our kids hit their growth target, the MAP says we're doing very good. If 80% hit it, we're doing really good. And in our reading and math MAP testing, over 90% of the Chamberlain kids met their growth target. And our staff and our students. We're all done with all those state tests and big tests, and now it's celebration month, and we have so much going on. We're looking forward to. Starts this week. We had our final choir concert. And then later this week, we have our school play Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock at Chamberlain. The students do a great job, and Mrs. Bennett really enjoys it. You're not doing anything. Next week, we have our band and orchestra concert. And then we follow that up with our Cedar Point trip and our Washington, D.C. trip. Does that sound cool, right? Going to Cedar Point, doesn't that sound cool? Yeah. So it is cool because we're a cool school, which is another thing. We're nominated for the Fox 8 Cool School of the Week. So tonight, everyone go home and vote for us for the Fox 8 Cool School of the Week. And another thing I'm very proud of, we very much appreciate the support of our community, but we don't want to take it for granted. And so just over the last 3 weeks, teachers, Mr. Welker, Mrs. Powers, and I, we've written 3 grants, one for improvement to facilities, one for improvement to STEM education, and one for improvement to alcohol and drug awareness. So I don't know if we'll get them, but we're busy working hard to improve our school without using taxpayer money. So I just think that it's important to recognize that our teachers are out there doing those things. And that's about it for me. We're, like I said, very excited about the coming month and all the activities we have planned. Thank you.
Mr. Felber, that concludes our superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you. Usually I dismiss, but this is the first group that has self-dismissed themselves, so you're more than welcome to stay. You're encouraged to stay, but we understand.
Bye. Thank you.
They must have been watching previous meetings.
The Cavs are on tonight.
Or the return.
The Cavs are on.
Oh, is that? They play tonight?
Yeah.
I'm joking. I hope you gave that little boy 2 pins that had the Cavs. Okay, at this point we are going to move on with our agenda, and we are at committee reports. And so the first up, I'm going to call on Mr. Curtis for the CVCC update.
Thank you, Mr. Felber. So CVCC, our board met last Wednesday, the 25th, and just like Twinsburg, there's a lot of activities going on in the way of awards, graduation, and things of that nature. So this is primarily going to focus more on kind of student-level activities, which I think is very appropriate. Enrollment has been occurring for the 16-17 school year throughout the year, and I'm told by our admissions counselor that there are still opportunities to apply for programs for next school year, and specifically there are openings in the following programs: still architectural and design, auto body, auto service construction, digital design, electrical and energy systems, engineering, technology, graphic imaging, health careers, machine technology, medical administrative assistant, power equipment technology, and health, public and health and safety. So if any of the kids are interested or parents are interested in even inquiring, Kelly Buccini is our admissions counselor at the CVCC, or students can check with their own counselor, their building level counselor, and they can be given instructions as to what they have to go through in order to be involved in CVCC for next year. Also, this past Saturday, we hosted an invention convention, and there were over 1,500 people in attendance, which included parents and others. So extremely successful endeavor. I think it was the first time that we've done something like that, or at least hosted an event, but based on the level of success that we experienced, they're already looking for next year to use our facility to host it. So I wanted to make mention of that. Also, as our superintendent previously mentioned, there's a senior recognition ceremony going on this evening at the CVCC, but there are a number of other events that I want to make sure I run down as well so that you're all aware. If you're able to attend, great. Some of which I'm going to try to do myself. May 10th is the Public Health and Safety graduation ceremony. The 11th is the Teaching Professionals ceremony. Thursday the 12th is Dental Assisting Pinning and Capping ceremony. We're also going to be hosting a Job Seekers seminar for Saturday the 14th. And Friday, no, that's it. So those are important dates that if you're able to make it, great. And also, last but not least, there was 100% Club Perfect Attendance Award that was given for those who had 100% attendance during the third quarter. And this includes no tardies or absences or early outs for the third quarter of the school year. There were a total of 219 students center-wide, and Twinsburg had a nice chunk of those students. There were 22 students. Joshua Gogan, Jacob Johnson, Robert Simachek, Madison Kamavongselk, I probably butchered that name, Alexis Osborne, Nicole Townsend, Morgan Irvin, Kevin Graham, Jacob Roth, Jared Clary, Desiree Cotton, Akila Irving, Rochelle Perry, Rebecca Sadu, Caleb Wenzel, Andrew Fowler Herbert, Joel Hines, Almore Kamaru, James Luca, Jazra Singh, and Brian Bluso. That concludes my report for the CVCC. Any comments or questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue with other committees. Other committees to report?
Yes. Yes. So the athletic The Athletic Council also met on the 25th, and there are a number of things that were discussed. Code of conduct for students participating in extracurricular activities. There was a lot of discussion around making sure that our code of conduct was consistent with a lot of other school districts around our immediate area. Specifically, there was discussion around, and help me if I'm not able to explain this specifically clearly, but around the penalties for if students had infractions and the length or duration of the penalty, looking at it from a full year as opposed to looking at it for the length of time that they participate in that particular sport. Is that pretty accurate?
Right. The crux of the conversation was around the 365 24/7 rule that currently exists in our handbook at Twinsburg High School. And when we compared our handbook language, and this has to do with our students that participate in extracurriculars and athletic programs, we were not in line with other school districts in our neighboring communities nor in the Suburban League. And so we asked Brian Fantone, our athletic director, coordinator of K-12 student activities, to take a look at what other school districts were doing and then worked to propose some revised language so that we still maintain a level of severity when students are found with alcohol and drugs and they're athletes or they're participating in activities, but also understanding that the school district really has difficulty in policing 24/7, 365. So that's the language that we've been working on, and as the handbooks are coming forward in the next couple of weeks for the Board of Education to review for approval very shortly so that they can get to print, the board will have an opportunity to reflect upon the revisions and determine if that is an appropriate set of rules for those students who are participating at the high school, and also new will be the same language in the middle school handbook.
Thank you very much for providing more clarification with respect to that. But also there was discussion around gymnastics. And as we've reviewed participation throughout all of our sports, gymnastics in particular, we wanted to kind of take another look at based on the number of girls that we've had participating, but also looking at the prospect of if there are other options of hosting the program within the district, kind of looking at things that make it a little bit more conducive, not only just from a participation standpoint, looking at ways that maybe we can grow the program a little more to have more kids participate, but also from a cost factor to make sure that we're doing some things and we're considering all of our options and variables with respect to whether we use other facilities outside of the district or looking at doing some things in district, which we have previously done in previous years. So we're still exploring those things. We've given the committee some instructions to kind of do some further research to come back to see what they come about. But we wanted to make sure that we're being, really responsible and, looking at what we're spending and making sure that we're providing, a quality experience for the girls that do participate in the program. Additionally, we also had some discussion around the development of an extracurricular, athletic extracurricular handbook. Specifically, the sports all have rules that they have as an individual sport, but what we wanted to do was kind of approach it and see if we could develop a more comprehensive document that included all of our sports and extracurricular activities, a resource for parents that they can easily look at and access and find out what's all involved in each of the sports, and for better decision making, but also for kids that are involved in specific sports, they understand what it entails, they understand what the expectations are going into the sport, and so again it provides a better opportunity to be a little bit more informative as to what the coaches expect and also what's expected from the students as well as parents. And the other thing that we discussed, which we'll actually discuss a little bit later on in the meeting, was looking at just what the council entails, a little bit broader scope with athletics, but looking at extracurricular activities. I won't go into detail with respect to that because there's going to be more discussion later on in the meeting. But that pretty much was the gist of our meeting. And if there's anything that, I don't know, Kathy, that you want to add.
I think you covered it pretty well, and I think you know, the committee has quite a bit of work moving forward. We did present a lot of information that we would want back, and I think I'm looking very forward to the handbook for the athletics. I think it's going to give a lot of clarity to the students and the parents. I think it's going to be an excellent resource for them, and I think that'll help, like I said, clarify, you know, what expectations are, what requirements are, and it might even help with some kids that maybe didn't know, you know, what the requirements were for a particular sport. That'll maybe spark some interest. So I think it's going to be a very positive. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's it for athletics.
Other committees?
Yeah, buildings and grounds.
Who's doing that?
You want to take the fun first?
Okay, so I'll do the first part of the report, and then Mr. Solero will do the second part. I get to do the fun part. We're actually very excited moving forward. Obviously, last year we did the stadium turf, and this year, at no expense to the district, and that's the most exciting part of this, is we're going to be forming some relationships with some corporate sponsors, but we are going to be putting a new sign or scoreboard up in the stadium, and it is very nice. I'll give you a little bit of background on what it's going to have. It's going to be approximately 18 by 10 inches tall, and or I should say inches. I'm sorry, 18 feet 10 inches tall. Yeah, that'd be small if it's 18 inches, and then approximately 30 feet wide. And it is up on the screen there. You can see on the top it will say Twinsburg, and the nice part of that is they are cut out letters, so the actual it'll be good for the, you know, if there's any type of wind, it'll be able to go through the, you know, the letters, the cutout letters. On the sides we will have the Tigers, and then the part that's helping us with this no expense is we are going to be forming relationships with some corporate sponsors. On the bottom we will have our anchor partners. There's 4 available on the bottom, and then I don't know if we have that screen, but also there's when the screen is in vision, you can actually see on the side, we'll have the ability to have corporate sponsors along the side as well on the screen, as well as on the bottom, obviously the score, first downs and things like that, all the information going on about the game. That screen itself, if we're doing any type of instant replays, actually we can go to a full screen. So it's a very nice size. I was asked quite a bit about size, making sure that it was adequate, that we could see from the bleachers, and I think it's going to be a very, very nice addition to our Tiger Stadium. So very excited about this project.
Plus notice the score.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We like the score.
But one other addition: the 3 ads on the side. It includes the software package to then rotate those ads, so we can have those rotating on a quarterly basis or every few minutes. So you can have 12, 16 spots depending on what you do there, or 12, 15 spots.
Yes, and Mr. Welker and Mrs. Powers, they've done an exceptional job at securing, you know, the contract with our vendor, and I'm very, like I said, very excited about moving forward with this. So I think it's going to be a great addition.
Could you explain a little bit more how the cost is going to work?
So we are, if we go back, on the side you'll see that there's like ExxonMobil, Wells Fargo, those particular spots are going to be available, you know, with a financial commitment, as well as the anchor partnerships on the bottom. So there will be a commitment for a length of time, and those will, in time, pay for the actual sign. So, and I don't know if Mr. Walker or Mrs. Powers want to expand on that, but like I said, the goal is at no expense to the district that our the corporate sponsorships would take care of any expenses.
Maybe you can expand on that.
So basically, we're looking at a scoreboard for the Tiger Stadium. In addition, there would be a scoreboard at the gymnasium, and there would be two. So one on each side of the gymnasium. The one side would be regular scoreboard with stats panels on each side, so that you can see the individual statistics for the players. And then the second scoreboard is the one that's displayed up here right now. And that would have the scoreboard in addition to a video board, which is fairly unique for the area. So we'd be able to display starting lineups, sponsors, videos, different things like that within that system. The indoor gymnasium scoreboard also has the anchor partner, so it would be a package for the gymnasium in addition to Tiger Stadium. And then we could also have video advertisements as well on the video. In addition, we wanted to have a three-prong approach for the advertisements, so it would be Tiger Stadium, the gymnasium, and then the outside of the auditorium for our award-winning arts department, our fine arts department as well. So we would have 4 flat-screen televisions that would also have the capability of simulcasting all of our events in the auditorium. It would also allow us to display our sponsors on that medium as well. So the goal would be to raise $350,000 over a 5-year period for advertising agreements. If we reach that goal, it would be at no cost to the board, and we have no commitment to proceeding with the project until we are able to guarantee that it would be at no cost to the board. So
this is our vendor, correct? That is securing
these
sponsorships. So if the vendor doesn't reach that target, we have no obligation.
We have no obligation.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Correct. And these would be complete turnkey solutions, so they would provide all the installation, the scoreboards, and again, at no cost to the district.
Anything further from Buildings and Grounds?
You'll see tonight will be brought for recommendation to the board for 2 contracts. For architectural services, construction documents, assistance in obtaining bids and things like that. One for a roofing project at RB Chamberlain, the second for the tennis courts behind RB Chamberlain. Both of these projects fall into the 5-year permanent improvement plan that was board approved in the past years. And again, these are not approving the projects currently. These are approving contracts to formulate these projects. So.
Thank you. Anything further from Buildings and Grounds? The Finance Committee has continued to meet and met again this week. Suffice to say, our recommendation is once again have another work session with the entire board that we're suggesting in June, but not until the board is in receipt of the strategic plan recommendation that we've been looking at for the facilities, which has been in a year in development. So we're very excited to dive into all that data when it's available, but we want to be able to make sure we're making the right decisions, both for the district and for our fiduciary responsibility. So finance will continue. So break the bad news. We got another work session coming. Any other committees that I'm missing? All right, Mr. Aho, looking over your shoulder, I don't see any blue cards. No. So we are at remonstrance. So we are in need of an executive session. We will return after executive session to continue the business of the district. So at this time, I am going to make a motion at 7:55, that the board enters into executive session to discuss employment of public employees as per the Board of Education policy number 0166A. I've made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Curtis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Solera,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron.
Yes.
And that item passes 5-0. We are now in executive session, and we will be reconvening to continue the board meeting. Thank you. We are reconvening from executive session. We're on section H. Mr. Aho, if you call the roll.
Mr. Felber,
Here.
Mr. Solera,
Here.
Mr. Curtis,
Here.
Mrs. Davis,
Here.
Mrs. Turl Waldron.
Here.
And we're all here. All right, we are at I, Treasurer's Report and Recommendations. I-1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes, regular meeting of April 20th, 2016, as sent to the board under separate cover. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Slur. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Waldron. Roll call, please.
Mr. Solera,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes. And we're at J, action items, personnel. I'm sorry, that passed 5-0. We are at J, action items, personnel, without objection from my colleagues. I'm going to read J1 and 2 together. J1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated license, personnel, and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit J1 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. J2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background check. Is there a motion for those two as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Solera,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes. We are at K, and without objection from my colleagues, I'm going to read, oh my, all of those. And then I believe we have a numerical correction to make that I'll double check as we get to the end of the first 9. So, K1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the donation from the American Dairy Association of Columbus, Ohio, in the amount of $4,550. This donation will be used to purchase equipment and supplies for the Food Service Department per the attached exhibit K1. K2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a day treatment service agreement with Educational Alternatives for the purpose of placing a child in alternative education setting on a short-term or long-term basis, if necessary, for the provision of free, appropriate public education. The student will attend starting 4/18/2016 for a period of 30 days at $125 per day for a total of $3,750. This is a general fund expense and is sent to the board under separate cover. K3, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an Access Extended Year Student Service Agreement, Summer 2016, for a Twinsburg High School student to attend re-education in Mentor during the summer of 2016 at a cost of $3,400. This is a general fund expense as sent to the board under separate cover. K4, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an access agreement for a student to attend re-education in Bedford effective 4/25/2016 for the remainder of the 2015-2016 school year, 5/26/2016. This is a general fund expense as sent to the board under separate cover. K5, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an agreement with Beechbrook for the 2016-2017 school year to provide services to meet select social-emotional needs of at-risk and behaviorally challenged students as a strategy to advance economic performance and good citizenship per the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement. This is a general fund expense and it was sent to the board under separate cover. K6 is in lieu of transportation. We resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an in lieu of transportation the amount of $250 for 116 students for the 2015-2016 school year for the following schools, and the list of students is in your agenda. K7, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approve the change in the amount of the donation for the Twinsburg Athletic Boosters for the construction of the Twinsburg High School trophy case from $23,000 to $22,996.88 as sent to the board at the 12/16/15 Board of Education meeting. K8, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following Board of Education Governing Board resolution authorizing 2016-2017 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Whereas the Board of Education Governing Board and its administration desire for the schools with one or more grades at the 7th through 12th grade level under their jurisdiction to be voluntary members of OHSAA. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education Governing Board, that all the schools listed, Twinsburg High School, R.B. Chamberlain School, do hereby voluntarily renew their membership in the OHSAA, and in doing so, the Constitution and bylaws of the OHSAA are hereby adopted by this board as and for its own minimum student athletic eligibility requirements. Notwithstanding the foregoing, board does reserve the right to raise the student athletic eligibility standard as the board deems appropriate for the schools and students under its jurisdiction. And be it further resolved that the schools under the board's jurisdiction agree to conduct their athletic programs in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, interpretations, and decisions of the OHSAA, and to cooperate fully and timely with the Commissioner's Office of the OHSAA in all matters related to the interscholastic athletic programs of the schools. Furthermore, the schools under the board's jurisdiction shall be the primary enforcers of the OHSAA Constitution, bylaws, and sports regulations, and the interpretations and rulings rendered by the Commissioner's Office. The administrative heads of these schools understand the failure to discharge the duty of primary enforcement may result in fines, removal from tournaments, and suspension from membership, and or such penalties as prescribed in Bylaw 11. And finally, K9, a resolution approving a real property exemption for the Twinsburg Industrial Properties. Whereas the Twinsburg Industrial Properties, LLC, is seeking to construct a 248,000 square foot building on approximately 15 acres of property located at the site of the former Chrysler stamping plant in the Cornerstone Business Park, valued at an estimated $13,400,000 within the boundaries of an existing community reinvestment area that has been duly created and approved pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Chapter 3735. And whereas the project is expected to begin May 2016 and be completed December 2016, and is expected to create a significant amount of full-time and part-time permanent jobs opportunities with a new annual payroll of $5 million. And whereas the company is seeking a tax incentive to assist with financing expansion in a way of a 50% abatement of the value of the new construction for 7 years. And whereas the City of Twinsburg has provided the board with notice concerning its proposed amendment of the proposed abatement of the project prior to formal adoption of a resolution approving abatement as required by Ohio Revised Code Section 5709.83. And whereas the board recognizes that the City of Twinsburg encourages economic development within the area designated at the Community Reinvestment Area Company, and that the proposed project will benefit the city and the community. Whereas, to the best of its ability, the board desires to cooperate with the city's efforts to promote and encourage economic development while balancing the best interests of the Twinsburg City School District and the resulting tax revenues generated from the project. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Board of Education of the Twinsburg City Schools, Summit County, Ohio, that Section 1, the board approves a 50% real property tax exemption for 7 years under the Community Reinvestment Area Program with respect to all property improvements constructed as part of the project, and as described in the tax exemption application submitted to the City of Twinsburg, and approves a community reinvestment agreement between and among the city and the company providing for such real estate property tax exemption. Section 2. The board finds and determines that all the formal actions of the board concerning and relating to this resolution were taken in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any committees that resulted in those formal actions were in meetings open to the public and in compliance with law. Section 3, the resolution shall be in force and effective immediately upon its adoption. Is there a motion for those nine items as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Slura. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tor Waldron. So let's catch our breath and review, because there was a lot there. Okay, so first of all, thank you to the American Dairy Association for that donation. A couple of these other agreements are standard at this time of year. And again, the agreement with Beechbrook, I don't know if anyone from administration wants to comment on that. This is our first year experience.
Right. Thank you, Board of Education. I've asked Mrs. Trapphagen in the month of June following the end of the school year to present to you an update, a summary of all the services that Beechbrook has provided our students. They started in September, and it has been a wonderful experience for our school district as partners with Beechbrook. It's their school-based program, and never a day goes by that I'm not hearing compliments about having social workers on staff that are addressing many of the social emotional needs of our students. You know, we have school counselors on staff that are academic counselors. The Beechbrook social workers are dealing with much more emotionally based issues that our students need to deal with in order to be successful in school. You know, we've had some issues come forward with drug and alcohol abuse. Those counselors have been working with families to help address the students and setting them on the right course. So this agreement would be the renewal of the contract. And what I do want to tell the board is this agreement is a contract for 260-day employees, which means the Beechbrook counselors will be on site throughout the summer. So given situations that arise and the fact that you just can't exit a student who is dealing with issues because it's the end of the school year, our Beechbrook counselors will be setting appointments with families and counseling children through the summer months as well. So it's a great service to provide to our students, not only during the year, but also when we have issues arise in the summer that need some attention too. So thank you for your consideration of this contract this evening.
Mrs. Powers, just to clarify too, it's my understanding that this contract, this renewal, is actually at a lower per day rate than the previous year. We were able to negotiate a lower rate as well.
Yes, this is a little bit of a lower rate than it was on the original contract, yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions on that topic?
Yeah, do you, and this might be a question for next month, but approximately, how many children do they service a year, or we don't know that?
Don't have that information this
Okay.
evening. That will be part of the report I've asked Mrs. Trapphagen to prepare. She does meet with the ladies once a month and pulls together the data, so she has
Sure.
that right now. We will provide a comprehensive report that will obviously not give you particular students' names and family identities, but it will give you a pretty good indication of the kinds of issues that our children are dealing with in our schools. And it's all the way down to Wilcox, all the way to the high school.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important that the community understands there's a lot of challenges our children are facing out in the real world, and I'm glad that we have this service for them. I think it's been a great addition, and if we make a positive impact on just one child's life, it's, and I know it's more than that. So for me, it's a great addition.
Thank you. I wanted to also comment a little bit more detail on K9, which is the abatement. On April 26, 2016, the City of Twinsburg presented the district with notice and a copy of an application for proposed tax abatement for the construction of a new building at the Cornerstone Business Park. Specifically, the application filed by the Twinsburg Industrial Properties LLC proposes the construction of a 248,000 square foot building on approximately 15 acres on the site, again, of the former Chrysler stamping plant. We've stated that the construction is slated to occur immediately and will be finished in December of 2016. Once the building is constructed, and the application indicates that the business is expected to create a significant amount of full-time and part-time jobs. I thought that was important to reinforce that. The proposed abatement is for 50% of the value of the real estate for 7 years. With a 50% abatement, this project is expected to generate approximately $80,000 in real estate taxes annually. As we have done in the past, the board has supported these abatements and recognized they are mutually beneficial to our community and our schools. I will further note, because there often is a lot of confusion over abatement, that this board does not have the duty to respond to anything under 75%. When something hits a request of 75% abatement, that's when we actually have the authority to do something about it, to be plain language. So what we are doing are proposing a resolution, but the city of Twinsburg is actually the one that has the authority to do this, unless, again, it would hit that 75% mark. The schools in this situation are not losing money. They're receiving less money than they might have at 100%, but we will be receiving 50% of that money, and then after 7 years, the schools receive 100%. So this is one of those decisions where it's often we're faced with, what is best for the schools, what is best for the community. Obviously, a thriving business community attracts more residents, more stability, and a quality of life, and that is why, at this point, I'm going to recommend the board approve this abatement. Any other comments from my colleagues?
I think it's also important that we recognize having a large, thriving business in our community is important at a lot of different levels. So I think moving forward, we're not receiving 100%, but we are receiving something. And I think the benefit to the entire community, will outweigh, So I think it's a good decision.
I guess said another way, if there wasn't this project, we wouldn't have anything.
Right.
So again, a lot of times people think we're losing money. We're not. Any other further comments on any of these items? Mr. Welker.
I just wanted to say on K1, this is our second such grant from the American Dairy Association, so we just wanted to thank the American Dairy Association. Over the past 2 years, we've received approximately $23,000 from the American Dairy Association to support food service equipment purchases and wellness activities. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you. That's a
Now,
worthwhile addition.
Are these grants that you applied for?
That we applied for, and
Okay.
they're 100% cost reimbursable grants, so no match
No
required.
matching funds.
That's excellent. Thank
Even
you.
better. Any further comment on any of these 9 as read?
Just to clarify and kind of jump on what you had said, Mr. Felber. To be very clear, tax abatements that we receive or that are granted, the 50% tax abatement, the district is not losing any real dollars.
Right.
The dollars that we will receive from the tax abatement are more than what we are receiving on the property currently as it sits. So there is no loss in dollars to the district when abatements are granted. So I just want to make that clear, because there's always a lot of confusion when it comes to it. And while, yes, we're not receiving the 100% of the new valuation of the property, we are receiving more money than we are currently receiving on that parcel of property as it sits right now.
Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes. At this point, I'm going to propose a little bit of housekeeping on the numbering. The next items you may see in your agenda say 9, and I'm going to suggest that we continue the ordering sequence so we don't have 2 9s. So the next one would be K10 and go through 11 and 12, 13 and 14, and then I'm going to add a K15 because I'm noticing the omission of a miscellaneous that is normally there at that point. So above L, where it says executive session, will be, I'll just say K15 would be miscellaneous comments. So any objections? I don't know if we need to formally adjust our agenda. So I'm going to continue without objection and read K10 through 14, and I'll read the sequencing. So K10, Architectural Services for District Paving and Drainage Projects, Summer 2016. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves Lesko Associates of Cleveland, Ohio for architectural services, including schematic design, development, construction documents, assistance in obtaining bids or negotiated proposals, and awarding and preparing construction contracts and construction oversight for the paving and drainage replacement projects at the Twinsburg City District Tennis Courts and R.B. Chamberlain Middle School and Twinsburg Tiger Stadium. The total fee is not to exceed $25,000. This is a permanent improvement fund expenditure. K11, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves Lesko Associates of Cleveland, Ohio for architectural services, including the schematic design, design, development, construction documents, assistance in obtaining bids or negotiated proposals, in awarding and preparing construction contracts, and construction oversight for the roofing replacement project at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. The total fee is not to exceed $25,000. This also is a permanent improvement fund expenditure. K-12, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the licensing and marketing agreement with Daktronics Sports Marketing, 331 32nd Avenue we're in Brookings, South Dakota, for a new scoreboard at Twinsburg Tiger Stadium and 2 new scoreboards for the Twinsburg High School Gymnasium per the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement as sent to the board under separate cover. The fees associated with this agreement are at no cost to the Twinsburg Board of Education. And I'm going to stop there because we do have a hard stop. So for those as read, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any discussion from Buildings and Grounds? Just you already reported on these, and I think we saw a nice.
Just thanks again, to the administration and Mr. Welker specifically for your negotiation in his contract. It's in regards to the Daktronics and the scoreboard and the video screens in both the gym and the stadium. For a district to receive such an expansive project at no dollars to us, in addition to the above and beyond the normal contract with the warranty and the turnkey complete operation. Just appreciate your hard work on that, because this is something that I think is going to be an anchor in our district, and it's going to really bring us to the forefront and something that in our area you just don't see. And I appreciate your work on it, and again the fact that it's at no cost to us, which I think is the biggest thing, to our community. Just goes to show, that the administration, they are working, and Mr. Felber brings up, fiduciary responsibility all the time. This is a $350,000 project that we're incurring absolutely no cost for. So that's fantastic.
And since you brought it up as well, Mr. Welker, do you want to go over the other part of it? We have a warranty on it, which is unheard of in this particular situation. So not only did he negotiate an excellent deal, he also negotiated a very good warranty on it. Did you want to go over that? Or?
Sure. So, in addition to the advertising agreement, we were able to secure a 5-year warranty. They typically only provide a 1-year warranty for the equipment. And we were able to get them to have a complete turnkey arrangement. Originally, they wanted us to do a lot of the electrical wiring and other miscellaneous items. So we were able to do all of that, and they didn't increase their cost at all as far as additional costs that we'd have to make up in advertising revenue. So those were 2 things we negotiated.
Thank you. Appreciate your diligence. Any further comment?
Yeah, I just
more.
Again, I just want to piggyback on that. I was able to kind of look at some of the backstory just on them in particular in terms of the pedigree of other places that have these displays, and I'm talking these are pro football establishments and Division I colleges. I mean, and the fact that we're going to have something to that degree in our own home of Tiger Stadium is pretty impressive. So again, hats off to the administrative and you in particular, Mr. Welker, for negotiating an agreement like this. I think that Twinsburg's going to be very proud of the facility that we've been able to build up, and it's going to be something that I'm really looking forward to experiencing. Thanks.
And I just had a question for Buildings and Grounds. On this item 10 with the paving and drainage, in any of your meetings, has there ever been any talk of suggestions of maybe having a sidewalk from the tennis court area to the stadium? Because I know people have brought that up before. I just don't know if you guys have, your committees ever discussed that.
had that discussion.
Yeah.
We talked about some other sidewalks, but something maybe we can look at.
Yeah, and I think this project, this project will help lay the groundwork, because if anybody familiar with that area is very, very. One of the reasons we're having issues with the tennis courts is a drainage issue, and also a drainage issue behind Tiger Stadium, behind the stands, the home field stands. So what? Again, kudos to Mr. Welker. What he's brought with this in operating under the strategic plan, and the dollars that have been allocated for the tennis courts is complete redoing of the drainage from the tennis courts and tying in drainage behind the stadium to alleviate those issues. So yes, in the future that might be something, that we wouldn't have to worry about any subgrade issues now, because that's being taken care of with this. So yes.
Thanks.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes. And those items pass 5-0. I will read the next two items, renumbered K13 and K14, together without objection from my colleagues. K13, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the change in title of the Athletic Committee to the Athletic Student Activities Committee. K14, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following Board of Education members as their representatives on the Athletic Student Activities Committee for the remainder of the calendar year 2016, and that is Mr. Mark Curtis and Mrs. Kathy Turl Waldron. Is there a motion for those two as read?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Slura. As just a comment, the Board of Education conducts a organizational meeting every year. Is one of the first things we do before we get into the first meeting of the year. So that was where that particular committee designation was made for all of our committees. And this is just something that, a little housekeeping that puts these committees in line with the representation of all student activities. It doesn't say extracurricular, co-curricular, because those are included in all activities. So, any further comment?
No, just that there was discussion at the last committee meeting, relative to this, and making sure that all activities were included, and we gave voice to all areas, so that if there were concerns or issues that they wanted to bring before a board body, it now exists, and it's much more clear in the title, and it's all encompassing, so that we're able to consider many more things over and above athletics.
Right. I think, as Mr. Curtis said, it was not necessarily in our title, and I think it was a necessary, not necessary, but at a time that it would reflect that we were able to actually, like you said, represent the entire extracurricular organizations and not just athletics. So I think it is a move in the right direction.
Roll call.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes, and that item passes 5-0, those two items. We're now at a renumbered, I just renumbered just 15, K15 miscellaneous.
Mr. Felber, just the procedural thing.
Oh, thank you.
It would not be K15.
No,
because
what
then
would
it
it
would
be?
be new business. What you want to do is make miscellaneous L.
Okay, that's what I was
And
wondering
then,
about. Okay, so we will make miscellaneous L,
we have to-
and then executive session M. Thank you. I'll amend O P. Okay. All right, moving on. Thank you for those corrections. Always the second grade teacher correcting my alphabet. Okay, in all seriousness, we are at L, miscellaneous, and I actually had two items that I wanted to highlight. Many of you know that this is the 16th annual Relay for Life. What you may not know, it was the second annual Twinsburg High School Spirit Week, and it was conducted last week. Students dressed up on various days, from sports to PJs to superheroes for cancer. And this year, I'm proud to say they raised even more money just in this one particular week of $619, which is a combination of basket donations and spirit and raffle, as well as a basket raffle that was conducted at the Fine Arts Festival. I believe that was just the night before that whole week. So I just wanted to highlight that. And also, from a personal and business standpoint, I had the opportunity once again to have and still do a senior shadow from the high school. And this particular individual, Mr. Curtis, I met at CVCC Open House, but is obviously a Twinsburg student. Doesn't have to be. I've had others. And just the professionalism, the way this person presented themselves. And I just said, by chance, we do, take seniors, very next day in my office with an application, and he's had a great 2 weeks, wrapping up the end of this week. So that's, I say that on the mic for those that might be owning businesses in our district somewhere. Please give our students experiences, real world experience. It's invaluable. Many lament, college and career, and they just don't get the experience. So please reach out to the high school and give them this experience. Again, you would have to do this next year, but I know there's many, and I believe the award ceremony is May 17th. So anything else from my colleagues in miscellaneous?
No, just that May's a very, very busy month with school activities and fine arts fairs and just concerts and everything coming up. So check the calendars, because especially little ones like to shove those invitations down the bottom bag, and you find them 2 days after the event. So just keep up with the calendars.
Anything further?
I wanted to, I had the opportunity to attend the band banquet and award dinner last night. Mrs. Davis was there, and yeah, definitely a busy month. I know there was about 3 or 4 other things going on. I just wanted to, thank Mr. Jim Bird and the band boosters for the invitation. It was a very well organized and run banquet and award ceremony last night. Again, I'm amazed at the talent in our district in both arts and athletics. The kids were fantastic. The kids actually ran most of it last night, and they were very professional, very, very respectful children, and the talent just displayed was phenomenal, as it is at every single event that we have. So just again, thank you for that, and looking forward to the rest of the end of the year events going on this next few weeks. So.
All right. Seeing nothing further, we do have need for another executive session. This time we do not anticipate business at this point. So I'm going to make the motion that the Board of Education enters into executive session at 8:47 to discuss the employment, discipline, and compensation of public employees as per Board of Education Policy 0166A, and to update the Board of Education regarding bargaining sessions with the Twinsburg City Schools Support Staff Association, TSSA, concerning the compensation and other terms of employment as per the Board of Education Policy 0166E. And I've made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Torwalder. Roll call.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Torwaldron?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
And that item passes 5-0. We are in executive session. I thank you. Again, we do not anticipate further business when we reconvene from executive session. Thank you and have a good night.